Hola and welcome to Happiness and Purpose, the podcast. I am here with my friend Sebastian, aka Sebmillas.
Sebmillas, yes.
Yes. And he is here with us celebrating Nature Month, which is April 22nd is Earth Day. So we are doing a special on what it is to be connected with the earth, nature, breath work, and all these things that nature provides for us. So he is, well, I'm going to let him speak for himself, but he is a master in breathwork. I'm just going to say that. And then you can introduce yourself and talk a little bit about who you are and what do you do, how do you connect with this amazing work that you do, and how can we help others?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is a great introduction. So I have been doing breath work probably for over 4 years. So it's not one of those practices that has been there for that longer than that. And I learned breath work as I was in the pool, and I was just, as a matter of fact, I was drunk at the time, and just chilling in the pool, hanging out. But I was already into practices, so I was already into yoga and starting to question things. So I just lie down on the edge of the pool, and I started close my eyes, and I started breathing, and I started feeling the movement of my body as I was taking breath ins and breath
relaxing?
outs. Yes, but the movement wasn't a movement like a slight movement. I was breathing deep, so at the time, if I was here on the edge, my body was lifting almost like horizontally to the pool, and then on the exhalation, my whole lower part of the body will come back like down to the edge.
Crazy.
And I was just like, what's happening? And you know, like really experiencing breath work. So I was not absorbing it from hey, this is breath work, but from an experience that is actually saying your breath is the one that is moving your body. And to me, that was like, okay, here's definitely something special. Maybe before that I had already done a breathwork practice, but anyway, that's what got me. Anytime that I just stepped into breath work, it was easy for me to realize how important and how incredible it was. So it was an easy connection to me.
Oh
it
my
was like
God.
anytime I stepped in, it was like showed me this much. I'm like, okay, I get it. And I just continue the path. And
I love
here
it.
we are.
I love it. Okay, but who is Sebastian?
Who is Sebastian? I mean, you know, that's a tricky question. Who is Sebastian? Sebastian, at least at this point, is someone who's in a mission of bringing the breath, the collective breath to people, and the benefits of breathing, and the connection of breath, the connection of people through breath. So that's probably who Sebastian is. And I come from Colombia. I was born in Colombia 34 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And then about 5 years ago, I moved to New York. And then from New York, I moved to Houston. And
From Colombia?
Yes.
Oh, wow. How do you speak English so well?
I have been living, so I lived in England when I was younger. When I was 20 years old, I moved to England. Yeah, that's where my language comes, like the English came from.
Nice.
This is after my dad tried to teach me English several times. Like he was really trying hard, and I didn't like English. I'm like, I don't want America thing. I don't want to learn that. I did have a negative connotation about learning English. So it took me a long time, and traveling to the place was the only thing that made it possible. And once I was there, I'm like, okay, my dad did spend a bunch of money and he's giving me this opportunity. I'm gonna embrace it. And so I was just hanging out with British people and not talking to Latinos.
Yeah.
And I really learned the language, and then came back to Colombia and worked in real estate with foreigners. So our company, what it did in Colombia was bringing foreign investments to buy real estate in Colombia. It was a great business at the time. Colombia was rising, like the tourism was increasing a lot, and it was affordable because the dollar rate benefited the dollar.
Yeah.
So we were doing really good, and that's what I did for some time with English
Speaking.
clients.
Yeah.
So I was still speaking English, and that's why
You perfection it.
And look at the gifts. I mean, my dad knew it all the time. I use it so much. It's what it's allowed me to connect with the community and to teach.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And what made you move to the U.S.?
So the company that I started that company with a friend in Colombia. He was Australian, And the company grew up so much. We were acquired several times by different companies that were doing similar things, and it grew up to 200 employees. I was still a shareholder, and the last round of shareholders basically just took over the company and fired us all. And
No way.
yeah, they fired us all very soon after they took over, and so it was such a change.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, what just happened?
Else.
And they didn't buy the shares at a fair price. It was a hassle to core. Like, I ended up with very little. And that was, I tried something else, but I didn't have the energy to be an entrepreneur again. I was like, tell me what to do. I don't want to do I don't want to go. Like, it's been 8 years of working on that project hard.
Once you have a business, it's like 24/7 you're working.
Yeah.
Even though it's not basically like too much work into it, like, or maybe you be at home and gathering with your friends, but you're still thinking about something that's going on, or watching responsibilities, or waiting for someone. It's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. I bet.
With a entrepreneur project is like, you always have something to do, and you always know it, because you can always do something to grow, to expand, to connect, to communicate.
Exactly.
So there's always something, and you are the one who know, because you're the one behind the project. So 100%. It's non-stop. I agree.
I bet.
And sometimes it's just, at the moment, it just felt better, like, give me a job, tell me what to do. I want to.
That's great. Okay, that's nice. And how do you get into yoga, into all that stuff?
So yoga I had tried yoga before a couple of times in my life when I was younger, and it was great. You know, it's always that feeling. I'm sure it's happened to many people that we do yoga and we're like, oh, that was awesome. I mean, I feel it. For me, it was usually when I broke up with someone, some ex-girlfriend. I will be devastated, so I'll go to yoga and then do 2 weeks of yoga, feel great, and then find another girlfriend and be like, okay.
So it was like a heartbreak escape.
Yeah. For a couple of times I tried that. Both worked and made me feel great, but I didn't fully continue the practice. So it was here when I got here to Houston, that I definitely started like connecting more. Actually, in New York, I was already like implementing practices and things, but when I got here, it was like, okay, I'm gonna really focus on this and implement it. And it's easy for me sometimes to commit short term, like I'm gonna do a month, but I'm gonna do it all in, like going for it.
Yeah.
And that's what it took for me to realize, like, okay, this is definitely bringing a lot more. Because I think those short-term goals are great. Sometimes we feel devastated because we stop the practice. It's like, no, I just start again. And
100%, 100%. And then those short-term goals lead you to a bigger picture, a bigger habit, you know, and then you can't live without it.
Exactly.
Yeah. How often do you practice now?
I think it goes on and on. I don't have a daily practice of yoga. I do some movement always, and try to really do some little stretching and yoga. As a matter of fact, it just transitions into, okay, I am consciously breathing. That's probably my practice of every day, and has been for the past 3 years. Really being able to consciously breathe anytime, not only when I'm doing my practice and like I see for my practice of breath work, but then when I finish the practice, that continues the practice. Is like, how can I consciously breathe when I'm through life?
How?
And it's difficult. You know, you have to change many patterns and go back to breath often. And that, I think that kind of obsession in a good way is what really has led me to connect a lot of dots in terms of our body, of the breath, of the support that it provides. And nature's been massive for me.
I bet.
You know?
I bet. Oh my God. Just one little parenthesis before I ask you the next question. But I remember I saw one of your stories and you were like picking up mud and painting with it. And I was like, how amazing is that? I love it. But anyway, how can you describe breath or breath work? How can we explain it? How can we just get into that and say, general, like in the surface, what is breath work?
That's a great question, because breath work, I have a feeling it's been misunderstood. We tend to think of breath work as a practice that is intense, maybe that releases a lot of emotions, And it does. It's one of the things that breathwork can do. To me, breathwork is an opportunity. It really is an opportunity that we all have to bring awareness to the way that we breathe. And once we do that, experience a shift, or experience how we influence our body emotionally, physically, spiritually. And that's kind of breathwork. So basically, bring awareness to your breath, and that is breathwork. You're doing it already.
So you don't need a specific tool, specific like knowledge to kind of like do the work.
I feel that you need guidance, let's say.
Okay.
And that's probably what we do, is I'll guide you on a breathing pattern that puts you there, that gets you to experience it. And it's a breathing pattern, let's say, that we chose today for relaxation. So we're just gonna go on a breathing pattern that helps you relax, and then you explore it, and now you know that it exists. Okay, it helps me for that. And then through practices and through experiencing, probably is a good way to learn. You know, we want to be given the information so much, and that's great, but then sometimes we forget to really experience and
agree.
And feel.
Yeah.
And I think that's why most of the workshops that I teach, I'm trying my best to provide education where we talk and I explain you and I tell you, like, hey, these are muscles, and you can work them out like this, or you can do this as we're breathing, and then take you into the practice.
I heard someone that said like she didn't even know how to breathe. She didn't know that when you inhale, your diaphragm needs to expand, and then when you exhale, you need to kind of like what is it, like deflate or
so
contract?
Imagine,
I didn't even know that.
I know, and the thing is that we're not educated on breathing.
No,
and
no one ever
unless
teaches
you are a musician, or unless because you need these muscles to talk to sing.
To sing.
Musician, someone who plays like the violin, the flutes or anything like that. But apart from that, we don't get educated. Like even there was a research on 2022. 90% of professional athletes didn't know how to breathe from there.
That's insane.
Professional
and they
athletes.
Use their
we're
bodies.
talking about professional athletes, right? So no brain that without regular people who's not even like that exposed to breathing don't know. We don't know. This was not educated.
It's horrible.
And it's just good to bring awareness to that. Like, yeah, we're not educated on this, but we have an opportunity, right? And that's what it is. An opportunity to start investigating, learning, experiencing.
Yes. Just by bringing the awareness to people and talking about these things, actually can someone explore or be curious about, okay, what is it? Like, how can I use it? How can that helps us with? So that's my next question. Like, what can breathwork help you with in life? Let's say, like, what are some different situations that you can use breathwork?
Okay.
En nuestra vida cotidiana, digamos.
Okay. I would say that it can really be anything. There's a butterfly flying there.
Qué linda.
It can really help you on anything. And by that, I literally mean anything. Because we are breath. That's ultimately what we are. Stop your breath for 2 minutes and see how you feel. Like, you won't make it, you know? And not only we're breath, but we move through breath. So breathing really happens. To elaborate a little bit more on the breathing and the diaphragm and all this, imagine that the lungs are elastic bags. Imagine that I was inflating here a plastic bag, right?
Okay.
It inflates because it has a space to inhale and receive the oxygen. So when we're inhaling, the diaphragm, as you were describing, it goes down, and what it is doing is just opening up space for that elastic bag to fill up with oxygen, right? And then on the opposite, if you push that back and kind of like squeeze it, all the oxygen will come out. And it's like, that is the exhalation. That's why the diaphragm comes back up, pushes, and all these muscles push back. And that what it is doing is just compressing the lungs, so air is coming out, right?
I didn't know that.
That is a beautiful thing, because then you realize the lungs are not really, they're just receiving the air, but they need the assistance of all the muscles around your body to expand and open up space. And that's why when we take a deep breath in, we should start down, we should go sides, and then we expand, because we're opening up more space to really fill the lungs up. And then if we full exhalation should be like like you're just really squeezing out. So with that, the reason I'm saying all this is because you are movement. Then if you move, you're expanding, so you're breathing more. If you're contracting, and if we're on the phone like this pose is already blocking us the ability to breathe deeper. And then it's...
So you kind of have to be like, kind of like in the open, or like more straight, so the lungs can breathe,
can expand
properly
more.
and expand more.
Uh-huh.
That's interesting.
And let me continue with one thing about the posture, because we think like, oh, you need to fix the posture to fix the breath. It is the opposite.
No way.
If you focus on the breathing, it will automatically tell you what is your best posture, because it's different for everybody. People has different lengths, and everybody's different. We have different pains and everything. So, but if you take a breath using like the diaphragm, then the intercostals, and then all the upper muscles here. Let me give you an example. If I'm like here and I start diaphragm, because it is linked to my back, it will start fixing that lower part area. It will do it, the diaphragm. Then the intercostals expand here, and then ultimately you open up all the kind of upper back, and at that point I'm fully inhaled, and this is my right posture, right? So it's my breath that is guiding my posture. It's not the opposite.
I get it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's funny. And people don't even realize that. For example, like I never even thought about me like breathing and knowing where my posture is kind of comfortable. I always think like I have to be straight, and then my back ends up hurting. And I'm like, oh my God, because I had 2 kids. I'm like, now my back is messed up. But I feel like you're right. Like you have to find that comfortable position, that perfect alignment, that your body feels good and your lungs are able to expand.
Yes.
I love that. Oh my God, I learned something new already. I'm loving it.
I love it.
So, but continuing with that, like what are some situations that people can use that example? Like for example, like I know people that do speaking engagements or people that have presentation or people that speak at work and they're like, okay, I need to breathe before I go on stage or before I present or before I do this YMC, so I can relax myself. How does that even work?
So imagine that the first thing that happens when you're presenting, you have a little anxiety, right? So so you're kind of focusing the breath at that point more on relaxing your body and really allowing it to ground and relax and soften. So there are breathing techniques that will definitely help you on bringing the levels of stress down, of relaxing your body. Or maybe this same speaker just is kind of like tired and is like, oh man, I don't want to do it. It's like, but breath can also bring you that energy if you use a different breathing technique that is like, okay, if I'm gonna start jumping, I'm moving, I'm diaphragm breathing and like going. Then through the breath, you can relax if you need to relax. Again, it's always what you need and what you're asking for. Or do you need energy, and then you need just different breathing technique to bring the energy.
That's interesting. Right? How many purposes, let's say, would you think there are for breath work? Like relaxing or get moving. What else?
Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to continue on this example, and then we're going to find more benefits, and then at the end we're like, we summarize. Okay. That'll be a good practice.
Go ahead.
So then the presenter, let's say it's okay, it's feeling relaxed, it's good, and we come back to the posture. Like if you're presenting, and if I come talking to you guys like this is giving a lot of information about where I am with my breath, but also where my energy is. So we come back to that posture, like, okay, breathe, open up, expand. Now at this point, this is different. Energy, like I'm more prepared. And then ultimately, what are you doing is your voice. And your voice comes from your breath. And then you're like, okay, if I don't have a breath, and I'm trying to talk here, it's just gonna so low and like, it's struggling. But then take a deep breath in, and I'm now using my voice with much more coherence because my breath is supporting that speech, that body, that chemicals.
I love it.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yes, that's amazing. I didn't even know that. You can do breath work for basically anything, let's say.
Yes.
That's crazy.
I would say, again, we go back to we are breath. So
yes, we can't live without it.
Yeah.
But we do it so unconsciously that we don't even realize that we can manipulate our breath into whatever we need at the moment.
Yes.
It's like medicine.
It is. It is our medicine, and that's the beauty. It's our medicine. It's your medicine, and then it's our collective medicine together. But it is what it is, and you said it is about bringing consciousness to the way that we breathe, because we breathe all the time, and we will until we don't, and since we were born, right? Even before. So we will breathe, and we're breathing, but we're not doing it consciously, and that's fine. I mean, but at the same time, there's that opportunity to bring awareness to to your breath, and at that point, you're like, okay, so it helps me for this. Yeah, it does that. Okay, oh wow, and then you end up with a bunch of options and opportunities.
Yes. Yeah. For example, if one day I feel depressed or sad or like something like upset me really, really bad, and I'm like at the verge of like crying, how can I use my breath in that situation?
Well, that's a beautiful question. It makes me reflect on a lot of the times we think that breathing, that healing and breathing is all flowers and rainbows and it's like fun. And like, oh, I'm just gonna do breath work and next day all my problems are gone. To then realize that what you're just doing is starting the process, and you're just like opening up a new door, a new room that needs to be cleaned up and that needs to let go.
Yes.
So I would say that the first thing on that, if the emotions are coming and if you're feeling like shit and if you're sad, well, I mean, it's part of life, and you don't always
things
have
are always happen.
Yeah.
Like whether we like it or not. Like sometimes we encounter situations that make us break or get upset.
Yes. And even breathwork might bring those, because again, when you do breathing, a lot of times you're just moving energy, and that energy can come up as an emotion that you had stored, like stocked.
Yes.
So now you have to work it through, which is maybe crying it and screaming it and whatever, feeling it, and then releasing it.
Yes,
right?
And I have to say that whenever I did breath work with you, I felt so uncomfortable.
I love it.
Yes, because something about the drums that you were playing and the way you manipulated the breath, and I was following what you were saying. Like I remember you were like in, out, and it made me like do it constantly so fast that I was like, I'm uncomfortable. Something is happening to me in this moment, and I felt it moving, and I felt like I was releasing something from like the way because we started with a meditation, I think, and I remember like the way I was feeling in the moment, and I felt that with every exhalation I was releasing something, and it felt uncomfortable. I even wanted to cry, but I didn't, because I was like, oh, I'm not gonna cry in front of these people. But yeah,
wow,
I agree. Beautiful. Yes, I don't think I ever told you.
No,
yeah.
No. And that's why I love these connections to learn more about, okay, how is that impacting it? How is it really impacting you?
Especially because I have PTSD and I endure a lot of trauma, that I am constantly finding ways that, like to heal, to do better, to improve it. My nervous system is always on the stress side. I'm always like I always see danger. I always see someone trying to hurt me. I always see like just the negative, so I have to push really hard to be on the other side and try to heal, try to make my body remember that it's safe, it's good, it's okay, I'm okay now, So when I find something that really works, I'm like, I get into it, I get fascinated, and I start trying to, learn more and more and more. And that happened to me through breath work. I felt like it relaxes me when I need to relax, and then I can release emotions, and I can do so much through breath work. Wow. So I can totally relate with what you're saying, that we can make breath work can make us, scream or cry, shut down, because of the work that it's doing in the nervous system.
Yes. And to your point, one of the things that you mentioned is that that you felt like you wanted to cry. And maybe if next time, or if it happened again, if you allowed that cry and that release to come, it will be very releasing, and it will even release more. But to your point, it's beautiful to hear that through that practice you were able to feel, experience, and then release. It's great. That's a complete kind of cycle.
Yes, and the crazy thing is that, honestly, I'm being honest, I don't I don't practice breath work unless I am going through things, which is crazy to me.
You're just like me when I broke up with my ex-girlfriend. Yeah.
Yes. For example, like if I can't sleep, I try breathing, relaxing, and I kind of know a little bit about breath work because I know like if you count to 4, then wait 4, then exhale 4. That's the only technique I know to relax myself. But I noticed that when I do yoga, every time I switch my pose, it's either an exhale or an inhale, right?
Yes.
And I'm where I am the most conscious about my breath. I'm like, okay, breathe in, cat or downward facing dog or something. And that's where I feel like, okay, I feel so good breathing. I connect with my body, and it's through the breathing. I think that the pose is whatever, but the breathing with that pose, it's what makes it for me.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized I need more breath work, but I never do it. I never do it unless I'm like, I can't sleep. I need to get up tomorrow because I need to take my kids to school. So I need to get my butt to bed. And then I start breathing. But that's basically the only times that I feel like I use breath work. But like back to the question is, let's say if I am in a situation like for me, right, with PTSD, I get triggers sometimes. Sometimes I get scared. Sometimes I get like something triggers me and I go back to my trauma and my body starts shaking or starts like being nervous, scared, and I need to calm down. How can I do that through breath work?
Cool. So keep me on track, but 2 things. It is 2 practices. One, it's 2 questions actually. What can you do when you're experiencing the episode or the trigger right now? And then what can you do prior to that episode, right? What I mean by that is, who's sending the message first? So you're sending the message first about like something is wrong, like something's happening, and then your breath is trying to catch up. And that disinformation between what's like, they're sending different messages probably. So what you can do before the practice is do a regular practice. So start doing the force, like have a regular practice. So you allow your body to reset. You allow your body to, you give that space for your body to remember what it feels to be calm. To like, what's that level of calmness that it can really get.
I love it.
And your body learns it, remembers it, and then it's going to be easier to connect when you need it because you know that it feels relaxing. So you practice that before the episodes or in your daily life. And then if an episode is coming, it really depends. All the episodes have a breathing pattern and have a different breathing thing. So if you're sad, like you're just out of breath, you're kind of low on breath and you're just sad and you're closed, and so what you can do there is taking deeper breaths and maybe just like really, if you take the time, sometimes if you take like 2-3 breaths, I promise you that is enough. But do it with consciousness. It's like, okay, you starting to feel, you feel sad, let's continue on that one. And then you're gonna try, it's like, okay, I'm gonna try to raise my energy and I'm gonna take 3 breaths. I'm just gonna focus on those 3 breaths. And you close your eyes and then you try. And you try to make it as long as possible when you exhale out. So at that point you tried and it might work in 3 seconds. But then if you're anxiety and if you're like fucking panicking and things aren't moving, people tend to think anxiety, like breathe. And it is the opposite, because the breathing pattern there is that you have all up here and you're already full of air and you're like, fuck, I can, and then what you're activating is your sympathetic. When you breathe too much, you activate that, you don't allow the flow of blood to go, so you're like, really you're here. So what you need to do there is actually the opposite. It's like, really take even like a long exhalation. Don't breathe. Okay. Hold your breath. And this is to be mindful, right? But hold it for 1-2 seconds. You're dilating your veins, your arteries. It's blowing more oxygen, which is going to ultimately start kind of helping flow the energy, right?
Wow.
So we do the opposite. We're like, breathe. No, breathe less. Take a longer exhalation. When you exhale out is when you're bringing the parasympathetic. So when you exhale out is when the relaxation is coming. So if you prolong those for 3-4 seconds, 5 seconds, then you're allowing your body more time to relax in a moment that you are freaking out. Calm down.
I love it.
Right? So it's to be looked at every specific moment, and that's why it's just connect to your breath and you will know what to do. It takes practice. It's not, this is a lot of information probably, but to conclude on that, what I'm saying is a lot of conditions, whether it's anxiety, depression, or all this, have a breathing pattern. When we identify what the breathing pattern is, we can tune it, make something to adjust that breathing pattern so that we balance to the opposite of what we're not doing, right? And it works. It's just like a music. It's like,
I love it.
If you're playing some instrument, you're like doing your own thing. I have to listen to you and be like, okay, I'm gonna join from here.
Yes, because I remember that you said that when we were doing your class, that at some point, like no matter what instrument, because was it the second time I met with you, like that we did Martha's birthday, remember?
Oh,
that we all got instruments and at some point like they were all connected. That was amazing to me.
Yes.
Apparently that's how breath works too, right? Like it connects, it finds the rhythm, it finds what you need. But if you do it consciously, I think that's the main key. What I hear you say, out of all these things that you said, I think the main key is do it consciously.
Yes.
Right?
You said it beautifully, because if you play like by not breathing consciously, yes, the breath is finding their own rhythm and the heart is trying to find the rhythm, and everybody, like if you're not conscious, there is a song that's playing.
Yeah.
But it's disharmonized.
Yes.
Right? Like one is doing the one thing, the other is doing the other thing. So when you bring consciousness, you're able to start choosing your own song and be like, hey, you calm down, you become the director, and you then create your own song, or you in the radio, like you now change the radio station to a frequency that best suits your pattern, best suits your energy.
Yes, and the mood that you're in and what you feel like listening to, and that's how breathwork is. Oh my God, I just connected. I'm a genius.
I love it.
I'm just kidding.
No, yes, you are.
But I love this conversation. What are some recommendations that you can tell people, like what can they start doing? Like, for example, yes, breathe consciously, and make sure that you come back. Like you said, I love what you said in the beginning, like do it consciously and constantly coming back to it. It reminds me of a book that says Return to Love. It's like whenever you have a lane, right? Like that you're walking, but if you kind of step to the side, just remember to come back to it. Come back to it. Yeah. So I love that you said that you always try to come back. Like that's something I'm gonna take from this conversation, and I'm gonna try to implement it in my life. But also, I would like to know, like, what can I do to start? Okay, so yes, I'm breathing consciously. But how can I go deeper? How can I start learning? What are some tools that you can give, the audience, or what are some practices or even books, resources that we can give people?
Great. Okay. Yeah. So the first thing, as you said, is that choice of I'm gonna start, right?
Yes.
And that's the first thing. It's like I'm gonna start. Whatever you are, I'm gonna start. Without feeling like you fail if you stop tomorrow, or if you stopped in a week, because that's what feels like a failure, and then you feel bad, and it's like, oh man, no, you can always start. Like if you stop tomorrow, you have another opportunity the next day, and you can start again, and then you can go a day at a time.
Exactly.
and the point is every day, right? Because you're always starting again. So if you stop tomorrow, don't worry, just come back to it at some point. And then when you come to it, that's a great question. I would really say there is a lot of information out there, and also it's good to know where to start, because sometimes then you just go breath work and you find a practice and it's way too intense for you, and you were not ready, and you're like, oh man, that was probably too much. And that's happened to a lot of people, and then you're scared, and then you're like, that wasn't for me. Yeah, no.
That happened to me one time.
Oh, at my event?
No, not at your event. But I was at a yoga class, and they were making us like pounding, like, and I was like, what the heck is that? I am not doing this. I'm sorry, lady. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was too much.
Beautiful. And that's not to say go explore classes, but do what she did. She didn't feel it, and that's yoga. It's like, speak your truth, and if you don't feel it, you can just come back. The teacher's never gonna be like, you didn't do it. No, that's we understand. This is for everybody, but not everybody might be ready for all our practices.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
So yes, where to start? I would say that starting by gentle practices, right? So it's like you don't want to start with something too aggressive, like
Yeah,
just
of course.
gentle practices. So I would even start like with, if you're looking online, like slow breathing patterns or slow breath work or gentle breath work, and then you're gonna find like gentle breathing practices. I can also send you, like some people that I follow that I know that is gentle and that will guide you on that path, kind of like gentle.
I would love that.
And we're gonna start doing also our own online practices to be able to really start guiding, because that's been there in our minds. Like, okay, we do this, but how do you really practice it? And hopefully now
How do
we
you
have.
teach others?
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, I'm gonna say it here. We're gonna have like a weekly practice and a daily practice online with very
perfect.
high quality sound. Is beautiful.
Yes.
And we're gonna make it free. Like everybody has access to it. It's a project that has been on the works for 7 months. Actually, we just like yesterday I was talking with my friends. Like, you're doing this for 7 months, bro. But it's coming beautifully, and that could be one way to. If you like this, connect with me, connect with you, and start learning more. There is a lot of events in Houston. Houston is a beautiful city to do this. If you're in Houston, great. I'm sure that everywhere in the world is happening. But Houston also has just a very welcoming community, and everywhere. In Haiti, I know you have a beautiful community.
Yes.
I'm saying it because of where we met.
Yeah.
But downtown has everywhere has, like, there's a lot of.
So what do you practice now? What is it that you do now?
Okay.
Basically.
What is it that I do now?
Yeah.
I do practices. So I do definitely like my yoga, my breath work. I started. So when I did breath work, and then I understood that it was muscles, then I'm like, how can I make those muscles stronger? So because if you breathe through muscles, then, for example, you were talking about your posture, it will stop hurting if the muscles that support it, which are the breath muscles too, are strong. If those are strong, they can hold you more comfortably. So we're talking, again, sometimes we try to focus on what it is, and it's like, no, what's holding this whole system, these ribs, this back, is the respiratory muscles and the respiratory system. That's holding us. So if we make those stronger, we will help the body on pain. So I transitioned into a practice of more putting weight on my breath work. So that's more like, okay, I'm breathing. So I'm doing now workouts, but I really do it as if I was doing breath work. So I'm really just breathing as I'm working out. And man,
I love it.
It's another level. I love it.
Oh, that's too high for me. That's too advanced for me. But so you basically have a community, or
I belong to this Houston community.
And where do you practice?
I practice. So there is a yoga class, a free yoga class in Spanish, on Mondays at Discover Green. That's where I do sometimes the practice.
What time?
I DJ. That's at 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
Then there's Tuesday free yoga at Discover Green. That's in English. I think there was a Wednesday coming, a free Wednesday at another park. So at that point you have like 3-4 classes already for free.
Yes.
And then where else do I practice? I go to Black Swan every now and then and get a practice there. At my house I do practice alone, and I like solitude. Nature was I haven't been in nature a lot the last couple of months, but I would just come in nature and do my practice, and it's powerful. Nature is definitely another element.
Where's your favorite place to like practice breathing? Is it nature, or is it more like in a sacred space? Like
no,
for me,
it is absolutely. Go on.
Go ahead. No, for me, like for example, like I have a prayer room, and I like to be there relaxing. I never done breath work there, but that would be a place where I can, just light up like a candle or like Palo Santo, and then like just breathe there, or in nature. But where is your best, favorite place to practice?
Because nature can be uncomfortable and can be
like mosquitoes and the heat.
So sometimes those kind of stop the practice. I did practice in nature a lot, and those rough moments were part of the practice, and it was the surrendering of, I don't care if I'm being beaten or whatever, but I definitely prefer out. I receive so much visuals from light, from the sun if I'm under the sun. the birds are always part of that, and
Yes.
the sound is just like, I definitely prefer out.
Okay.
And I do appreciate the comfort of a very well curated space.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. To close
Mm-hmm.
this conversation, what can you tell, the audience and people that are watching, like, just something that resonates with you, that maybe it's your best quote or best advice you ever heard, or something that has helped you change your life, something that made a difference in your life that you want to pass on to others?
That is a beautiful question.
I should have sent that in the text.
Yeah. Wow. I feel that after a journey that I'm still on, and after some conclusions, it really comes back to compassion. And by compassion, I mean having compassion for ourselves and for others, in a way that we're not judging ourselves for what we do, what we don't do, what we eat, what we didn't eat, if we practice, we didn't practice. Sometimes we're just focusing too hard on judging, and at the end of the day is that self-love of like, you know what, I just have, like, I know, Sebastian, that you've been hurt, and when you were young, this happened to you, and you were scared, and you were insecure about this, and you didn't know what to do, and it's connecting to that. We're always trying our best, and sometimes we just don't have the information yet, and I look at myself when I was a child, and I'm sure that if I looked at myself, I would be like, bro, I got you, like,
Yes.
you're good, you're right. And I know that right now there is an older Sebastian, right, that is saying like, hey, you're doing great, and it's okay, and
I love that.
and that is really means just like self-love and compassion, and we're doing our best, and if something feels like failure, no, next time is another opportunity. And if I've struggled many days, and sometimes like, this is it, I mean,
Yes.
compassion, and I love myself, and I'll try my best tomorrow.
I agree. I agree. Like, just this day I messed up, but that's all I had for today. Like, tomorrow I'll do better. I think, in my personal opinion, I think that when we make mistakes is because we don't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody goes in the world and says, you know what, today I feel like messing up my life. Like, let me just fuck up.
You might do that unconsciously. That's what the unconscious is doing. It's kind of like putting things because you're just going unconsciously.
Exactly. But because
yes,
we don't know any better.
Exactly.
Because if we would be conscious and would know better, we wouldn't do it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I feel like having that compassion, like you said, it brings you to that moment where you think, okay, I messed up today, I made a mistake, or I feel like a failure, things didn't go my way, but I did the best I could today.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe tomorrow I'll know better, and I know more, and I'll act differently or do differently.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you that releasing, and that that guilt go away.
Yes. And then you can love that part of you just as you would love if that happened again to your children.
Exactly.
Like, it's okay. Like, yeah, you didn't know, whatever. So you guide them and try to do the best. That's what we need to do with our best. Like, yeah, all right, it's okay. I forgive myself. And
Yes.
I do it with love, and that lets me more energy to continue. Right? Because
Amen. Yes, and breathe in, people, breathe in, and breathe out, breathe out. Oh, would you like to do a little breath work right now? Like, just guide us to a little,
works. Yeah.
maybe like,
let's do it.
Like a 3-5 minutes.
Okay, let's do it 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so if it feels comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes. Actually, first, like, get seated and just comfortable. And again, if it feels comfortable, you're going to close your eyes. And you're going to bring very gentle awareness to your breath. So whatever your breath is at the moment, you're just going to bring that attention. And with that, now we're gonna start breathing in together. So now, wherever you are, you're gonna exhale out and you just relax your body. And you try to take a gentle breath in. 1, 2, 3. And you exhale out very gently too in 1, 2, 3. Now breathe in 1, 2, 3. And gently exhale out as you use that exhalation to relax. Breath in. And then exhale out. And again, you use that exhalation to relax. Take a deep, gentle breath in. And you exhale out and relax your body. 3 more, breath in. And exhale out, relax. 2 more, deep breath in. And exhale out. 1 more, take a breath in. 1, 2, 3. And exhale out in 1, 2, 3. Now you come back to your normal breath. And maybe you noticed if there is any difference in your breath. You just notice how different your body feels, if any, from 3 minutes ago. And with that, you're gonna bring a smile to your face, if that feels good and comfortable. And very gently start moving your body a little bit, like maybe you do a stretch, something relaxing. You take a deep breath in, and side out. Relax and gently just open up your eyes.
Oh my Lord, I love it. I loved it. Oh my God, it feels so good. So good. It felt like,
good.
oh my God, like peace, like medicine, like I took a pill to relax. That's how it felt.
Beautiful.
Oh my God,
Right?
thank you, thank you, thank you,
And
thank
just
you,
3
thank
minutes.
you so much.
Just
Yes.
like very gentle.
Yes.
So sometimes it doesn't require 10 minutes. It doesn't require 20 minutes. Sometimes it really is like whatever we have.
You can even go on a bathroom break and do it in the bathroom,
Yeah.
like, let me just relax.
And it's fun. It's beautiful that she mentions like the kind of after pill effect, because I kind of got used to. But yeah, every time I do the practice and I almost start with this always, and 2-3 minutes after I feel very like high, and I'm like, okay, wow. It's like, do you guys feel it? Like everybody like, yeah. I was like, all right, it works. It works. Like 3 minutes of it works, and then it's beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this time, for taking the time to meet with me. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I hope it's not the last time we meet to do this.
I love it. It's been great conversation.
Where can we find you?
Okay, so you can find me. We go back to the beginning. So my Instagram is Sebmillas. So my name is Sebastian, and then I take the first 3, Seb, and then millas from seeds in English is Semillas. So I take those last millas, and it's like Sebastian putting seeds of love. So Sebmillas.
I love it.
Facebook is Sebastian Romero, and I do have the DMT Force. The DMT Force. It's a company focused on breath work, and we teach breathing. So the DMTForce.com is where you can find a lot more about breath work. And through you, I'm sure that they can always contact you, and we're probably going to be doing something else after this.
Yes.
This felt really good and comfortable.
Yes.
And yeah, feel free to reach out. Is also part of that beginning. It's like, hey, I don't know where to start. Well, send her a message. Send me a message. It's like, hey, I heard you. This felt good, and start creating that possibility for you too. So that's what I can say for now.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.